of April 2nd, 2026. Please join me in salute the flag of our nation. Sometimes. Ready? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bolin,
I'm here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Chair Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner McGrahan,
Here.
Commissioner Duncan, Commissioner Betts,
Here.
Commissioner Kimmelshoe, alternate Commissioner Rust, alternate Commissioner Bradley, alternate Commissioner Ritter, alternate Commissioner Shepherd. Thank you.
Okay, next up is nomination of chair.
Okay, let's go ahead and yes, you're right that we're doing this a little bit early this year, but this is going to formalize and clear up any confusion that we've had over who's our vice chair. From this moment forward, we will have a more clear procedure in place to keep record of that. So let's go ahead and entertain a motion for a chair.
I'll motion, we nominate Bill for chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. It's Robert's Rule of Order.
That's good.
Nominations are closed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up is vice chair. Nomination for vice chair. Al, will you do it?
Well, I didn't have much.
I get nominated, we'll see.
Second.
Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're done.
Hey, thank you very
All right.
much.
Next up is approval of minutes of March 5th, 2026. Al, is there any errors?
No errors. I move that we approve the consent agenda item.
Second.
Any further discussion, any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. Oh, do we have any electronic phone in or comments by electronically?
No.
At all? I just want to make sure. Okay, next up is 3.1. Notice public hearing South Feather Water and Power Swedes Flat Annexation Number 1.
Okay, thank you, Chair Connolly. Good morning, Commission. This is a proposal submit to us initiated by the South Feather Water and Power Agency on behalf of the property owner to annex a parcel 9.92 acres in size to the agency to allow the provision of raw irrigated water to the parcel. It's currently developed with a single family residence and has surrounding residential landscaping. The proposal is supported by the agency. It's supported by the recently adopted MSR for the agency. It's consistent with Butte LAFCo policies and Cortese Knox. So today I'm asking that you would, let me get there, adopt the resolution 092526, making the required determinations, annexing parcel 028370024 to the South Feather Water and Power Agency, finding the project exempt from CEQA review pursuant to Code Section 15319 and 15061B, waiving protest proceedings pursuant to Government Code Section 56662, being as we did not receive written objections from the affected agency or the landowner, and approve the annexation. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions or comments? Any public comment on this matter? We'll close public comment. Wish to the board.
I'll move what she said.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Passes unanimously.
Do we want to have a call vote?
Oh, yes, it's a resolution.
This is,
Commissioner Bolin,
we don't have to
Aye.
do it at the county. I don't understand why we have to do it here. Okay, Mr. Brown.
Commissioner Bolin,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Chair Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner McGrahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Yes.
Commissioner Betts.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, the yeses had it, not the ayes. I couldn't. There we go. All right, 3.2, 23-12 municipal service review, sphere of influence update for the city of Gridley.
Okay, thank you. So this is a continuation from our March 5th meeting where this commission opened the public hearing for the municipal service review and SOI update for the city of Gridley. During that meeting, we heard comments from the public and we received comments from this commission. After that meeting, I went through and updated the municipal service review, taking into consideration all the comments that were received, and did follow up with Commissioner Betts to make sure that everything was covered adequately. And then because this item was continued to this meeting, the public hearing is technically still open. And I just want to note too that I've had some conversations with the folks at the city of Gridley regarding the comments that were incorporated into the document. They're satisfied. They're happy with the comments that are included and feel that ultimately this MSR will benefit them in the long run. So today I'm going to ask that you would adopt resolution, I've got it here somewhere, 0725, adopting the municipal service review and sphere of influence update for the city of Gridley. Just making a minor amendment to the resolution that I would change the date to today's date.
Okay, any questions or comments? Is there any public comment? I'll entertain a motion and close public comment.
I move the commission approve the resolution for this agenda item as submitted and amended.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Boland,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Chair Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner McGrahan,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan,
Aye.
Commissioner Betts.
Aye.
Thank you.
The ayes have it. I love saying it. Review and consideration of proposed budget for fiscal year 2025-26.
Okay, thank you. So before you is the proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27. That's one error there. So this budget has been created. It reflects a modest operating budget program that supports 2 full-time staff members and 1 retired annuitant. Personnel costs are calculated at a 4% cost of living adjustment. The budget anticipates some additional revenues and expenditures resulting from the Calusa contract that we approved at a previous meeting. There are various changes in here that I could discuss in further if you'd like me to, but just know that on March 13th, the Budget Committee met, reviewed and considered the proposed budget and unanimously voted to recommend approval of the budget. I will make note that most significantly, the budget is reduced by nearly 20% compared to last year's budget. And as a result, this commission will be able to reduce member agency apportionments by approximately 10%, while still maintaining stable operations, adequate reserves, and staffing necessary to carry out this commission's work. And this has not been accomplished since the 2009-2010 fiscal year. So I'm happy to ask or answer any questions and explain any details if you'd like me to.
Any questions or comments? Well, I think that's only twice in 21 years I've heard of a budget going backwards in government. So good job. Any public comment on this matter? Close public comment.
So this is not a resolution, but I am asking that you would receive comment from the public and affected agencies, provide direction to staff for any recommended changes, and adopt the proposed budget that will come back to you at the June 4th meeting for adoption of a final budget.
Any comments, anybody? How about a motion to go forth and do good?
Yeah, I'll emotionally move forward.
Thank you.
That's where Winnie says second.
Second.
Okay. And I don't need a roll on this.
You're right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. There's no nays. Regular agenda. Presentation on SB 3030, the Housing Crisis Act. How's the government gonna screw us up again?
Okay,
Please
so
let us
this.
know. Wait and see.
This is a follow-up to a request from a previous meeting where we had a member of the public speak on how the Housing Crisis Act has affected them and ultimately the city of Chico in developing additional housing. And so I've put together, I would say, a brief presentation on understanding the Housing Crisis Act, SB 330, a brief history of the act, why it was established, what it means for us here at LAFCo, and what LAFCo can be doing. So just a brief history, the Housing Crisis Act, SB 330, was authored by Senator Nancy Skinner out of Berkeley in 2019. It was overwhelmingly supported by YIMBY groups, or Yes in My Backyard groups, that support housing development. It amends and strengthens the 1982 Housing Accountability Act, which is codified as Government Code 65589.5. Amending that act to limit denial or reduction in housing units, that act limits denial or reduction of housing units when objective standards are met. So that's already something that had been in place over the years. It officially declares a statewide housing emergency. It was originally set to expire on January 1st, 2025, but had been extended to 2030. And the act applies to all cities, including charter cities. So why was it established? The conditions prior to the act are that California ranked 49th in housing units per capita. It was estimated that the state needed to support 180,000 new homes annually to keep up with the growth. More than 3 million renter households pay over 30% of income towards rent, which is about the line of debt to income ratio that's recommended. And then, of course, a series of wildfires over the years destroyed thousands of homes and displaced over 50,000 people. So the intent of the bill was to suspend certain local restrictions during an emergency, to lock in the rules for development at that time, and to expedite housing permitted in high need areas that could support housing and to maximize development of housing statewide. So what does that mean for the law in practice? Well, it limits local governments. They cannot disapprove or reduce density of compliant housing projects unless there is a specific adverse public health or safety impact that is overwhelmingly supported by evidence. So there has to be a known deficit in services to the development. It provides protections for housing projects. So projects are governed by standards in effect at the time of the application, meaning the city cannot receive an application for development, then quickly make a change to their municipal code that would then prohibit that project from moving forward. It limits public hearings to 5 for these compliant projects. It applies strict approval timelines under the Permit Streamlining Act, and it provides certain protections for demolition of existing units, including the replacement of those demolished units and the folks who live in them, or providing relocation benefits to people who are displaced by demolition. The enforcement mechanisms are that the courts may order approval of certain projects, and there are fines of at least $10,000 per unit for violations that can be multiplied for bad faith efforts. So how does this interface with LAFCo? Well, we know LAFCo does not approve or deny housing projects. We don't establish zoning or land use designations, and we don't conduct project level environmental review. So how does LAFCo facilitate housing? Well, through municipal service reviews, we assess whether infrastructure can support growth and development. From our MSRs, we create SOIs that create long-term expectations about where and when urban services can logically be extended. And these boundary decisions affect whether housing can feasibly receive, or we evaluate whether these boundary decisions, whether services can feasibly be extended to these developments. So let's kind of briefly talk about what happened in Chico. In 2010, the city identified the Doe Mill Honey Run Special Planning Area in its general plan update as an area for growth and development to occur. In 2018, this commission added the Doe Mill Honey Run Special Planning Area to its SOI. In 2019, the Valley's Edge Housing Development an application was submit to the city with housing units and mixed-use development, commercial aspect, park aspect, just as the special planning area envisioned. And the Valley's Edge project was approved by the City Council in January 2023, meaning it was found consistent with their general plan. Environmental and safety concerns sparked opposition, and a referendum was placed on the March 2024 ballot, and voters rejected the project. And just a nuance there is that because it was a special planning area, the city had to rezone and amend the general plan to allow the development to occur, which was a legislative action, and only legislative actions can be referendumed by the public. If it had been zoned residential and it was by right development, then this would have never occurred. But because it was a special planning area, it was conceptualized for development. And then the Valley's Edge more specifically honed in on what each zoning area would look like. So the developer's entity called Believe in Chico LLC filed a lawsuit against the city, arguing that by allowing the referendum to overturn the city's approval, that they had violated the Housing Crisis Act, meaning the city exercised its power to approve a referendum and thereby limited the number of units that could occur at this location. So why does this matter to LAFCo? We added the Valley's Edge specific planning area to the sphere of influence, and by doing that, established a publicly known expectation of where urban services can reasonably extend, where future housing growth is anticipated, where governance and service responsibility are intended. This reduces ambiguity to the public and developers. It identifies obstacles to development, and it included industry expert comments, meaning when the SOI was established, police, fire, ag commissioner, the county, everybody gets to comment on the MSR and the SOI, meaning they've made determinations on whether or not adding the Valley's Edge special planning area to the city's SOI made sense. So the question is, if a voter referendum can overturn a housing project, even after planning, environmental review, and sphere of influence have all been established, what does that mean for the certainty and predictability that LAFCo is supposed to provide? So that's sort of the ultimate philosophical question for us. So we're sort of in the middle of this for as far as Valley's Edge goes. So there's still some questions that are kind of hanging out there that are not to be answered by this commission, but are more of a state level AG type question of, can a local referendum reduce housing density if state law is trying to protect the housing capacity? Does the Housing Crisis Act extend to all actions that block housing, including a referendum? And if there's a conflict, which prevails, the voter referendum power or the state housing law? So this commission's interest is not in the outcome of this specific project, but whether the adopted planning framework provides meaningful predictability, meaning can our decisions be so easily overturned by a voter referendum? So that's sort of where the LAFCo interface occurs. And sort of a theme that we saw as Valley's Edge made it through the approval process was, well, nobody's looking at, there's no entity out there who's concerned about the things that, we're concerned about, as the public would say. But really, It was us. It was this body. It was this body who thoughtfully considered the expansion of the sphere of influence to allow Valley's Edge, and that was sort of overlooked during the Valley's Edge referendum process. Was no, we did put a lot of thought into it, and we did. We had a series of factors to consider, and so it wasn't just a blind decision that was made by the city to allow that development to happen. So what comes next? We'll continue to observe how courts reconcile the referendum power and state housing mandates, ensure LAFCo's SOI and MSR determinations clearly document housing and service assumptions, and protect long-term credibility and reliability of LAFCo's planning framework. And that's something we sort of do at the Cal LAFCo level, is continue to watch to make sure our powers are not incrementally taken away from us. And I mentioned at a previous meeting that Gallagher has introduced a bill that could potentially sort of reverse what's going on with the Valley's Edge. That's just really right at the beginning line of the process for them. And so I'll continue to keep my eye on that and continue to monitor what happens with that bill, and see what happens next. So are there any
So
questions?
we really don't want to go on any written comment or anything. It's in the courts to decide right now. We'd be like sticking our neck out. I mean, I agree that it's wrong in a way, what happened to LAFCO's determination, but right now we're in court. So the wisest thing to do is just let it play out.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how, if this bill goes before the legislative committee at Cal LAFCO, what other LAFCOs with a outside perspective what their comments will be. This is obviously close to home, and here locally, we know that, or we support the Valley's Edge development. It makes sense. It's a very well-planned project. And so, what will happen at the state level is just,
Well,
yeah.
frankly, the Habitat Conservation Plan a decade ago, if they would have pushed and approved it, they would have never brought the ear of the people that opposed them, that caused the public to be engaged. They blew it. I mean, I'm sorry, it's on a shelf somewhere, but
Mm-hmm.
every environmental group had signed off. They would have mitigated with a check, and it would have been no problem at all. But you can't unring that bell. I mean, it's too bad. It makes sense for rational growth.
Yeah, it's
Makes it
unfortunate.
timely and cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
What Bill is sharing is very unfortunate because that was a big hag product. I recall that. I remember working on that years and years ago, but it's unfortunate.
And we had consensus.
You did, but it didn't get adopted officially, so. But a question on your presentation, I'm kind of behind the eight ball here, but when was this lawsuit filed?
Believe Chico filed their lawsuit.
Chico didn't file it.
I mean, again, they filed it against the city of Chico. I want to say it was, where are we, 26? I want to say it was 24.
So it's been more than a year since it's been filed and it
Yes.
hasn't even seen the light of day in the court yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
Don't want to rush into things.
Yeah.
Let's ask our attorney.
Do you know any
Brown.
stats of it?
There is a procedural issue of which is an issue of statute of limitations.
Yes.
And this is, and the trial court had basically said that the developer filed too late. So that's going to be an issue that's going to be determined by the Court of Appeal. And
Yes,
if it
that's
gets
the
past
first
that, then the substantive issue of whether the referendum power or the legislative power to control and protect against housing emergencies prevails.
Wow.
So this case may never get to the substantive issue if they didn't pass the procedural hurdle.
Good point. The other question I have is, thank you for the education about the background of all of the state law and everything, but what constitutes objective standards? You know, when you
So the
just
city
got-
determines their own objective standards, and so they were required back 10 or so years ago to adopt a list of objective standards. So does it meet floor area ratio? Is it under the height for the zoning district? So basically anything not related to the aesthetics of it. So if it meets the numbers by the units are allowed by the zoning district, the floor area ratio, the setbacks are met. If they can check all those boxes, then it meets those objective standards. And only in very certain circumstances can a city say, paint it blue or, put decoration on it or whatever it is. So all cities have implemented those objective standards by now where,
How about here in Butte County?
Chico definitely is
Do all
implementing
five
objective.
cities do it?
I don't see how they couldn't by now. I don't know if you recall, the city of Chico sort of abolished their architectural review committee because they were applying architectural standards to housing developments, and they're no longer able to do that. So they really only do that for commercial projects. So when you see these just boxes of apartments go up, they're just square boxes painted gray. It's because the city can't enforce any sort of architectural design style to a housing project any longer. They can literally say, you've met your density, you've met your setbacks, go forth and build.
They also preempted your ability to stop second units on lots and.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, you can have up
You
to
have apartment in
3.
your house now.
Yeah.
It's preempted
ADUs.
by state law.
But
ADUs.
that
Yeah.
came later. That came later. What Bill's
Yeah, that's
referring
a
to.
little
It
bit
wasn't
newer,
part of
and I
this
think
original-
outside of this, but
Okay.
yeah, they basically can't say no in really hardly any
But-
circumstance for a ADU.
Being a builder, I mean, the reason you can't build houses in California is because they pass dumber and dumber and more restrictive rules and laws and make it more expensive. There's probably more metal in a house than in my Toyota now. I mean,
Sure.
and it's not needed. I mean,
Or
you
requiring,
can't prove to me that it saved anybody's life at a point, right? Yeah, it's all
or
required.
requiring solar ready homes in Paradise where there's trees and they're just
Or they
trying
did
to-
reflective plywood for a while. I was a roofer. You reflect the heat through the roof. What do you think it does to the roof? Well, they have to do that for 10 years before they figure out they're running everybody's roof. You know, I mean,
So our government creates a housing crisis.
they have.
And then they
That's what
develop
I'm
an
saying.
act to try to counteract
Yeah,
their
they
housing
include-
crisis they created, so.
Yeah.
It costs, I digress, but if you want to know, we used to be able to build a house for, like $70 a square foot. You had the lot and it was
And those
not
houses are
bad.
still standing.
Yeah, and they're still standing.
Mhm.
Can't park your car on a roof, but it's there. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
There was one other item you shared in your presentation, something about, I forget what the term was, but something being locked in.
Yeah, so this particular act, which was sort of a loophole left over from the original Housing Accountability Act, was, like I said, a housing project could be turned in to a city, and then the city would realize it met their standards, was consistent with their zoning code, but they didn't like it, so then they could turn around and amend their zoning code to a point where that project was inconsistent with
They
the zoning
changed
code.
their
So now
rules.
that's been banned. And keep in mind, I can't say with a blanket term that it's not happening here in Northern California, but again, we're the victim of things that are happening in Marin County and, places where they don't want new development to be happening. And so,
The very people that make us have it.
So, yeah, prohibits the changing of the rules after the fact and locks the development into the standards at the time.
Let's talk about this a little bit more about locking in. Are we talking about locking in local regulations at local government level? What if the state comes along at a later date and creates something and mandates it to local government?
true.
and
I mean, yeah,
and it's
that's
contrary to what was locked in. which
You're right.
they
That's
conceivably
okay.
could do.
Yeah.
No,
Not,
they would do that.
we're only safe when they're not in session,
That's right.
right?
Well, I don't know, just,
Is any other comments on this matter? Any public comment? You guys want to jump up and add to it? Okay, thank you. We'll move on
Okay.
then. Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
yeah.
They were really excited. They were going to court. And,
I know.
do you have any more of your executive report to do?
I can briefly go over let's see, where are we on the presentation? No comments, not on the agenda.
Okay, we can do that. Public comments not on the agenda. Close public comment. All right. Sorry.
Okay, I'll briefly go over my EO report. So just to keep you updated, we are continuing to wait for our final report for the annual audit. We continue to receive inquiries, and so we do not have a timeline on when that will be completed, but we do hope to get that wrapped up quickly. Public agency and engagement outreach. I met with the Yuba County, or I'm sorry, the Yuba LAFCo EO in March, and we talked about the ways that we could continue to coordinate. This is an effort for the northern region to sort of implement better coordination amongst us, share services and things like that. So that was good to be able to meet with Yuba LAFCO and talk about ways, give her ideas on ways that she can improve her agency and likewise. Probably the most notable on here is that the city of Oroville has released its annexation plan, which has sort of evolved into not so much an annexation plan, but a fiscal feasibility study for these annexation areas. They held a planning commission meeting last week where the document was released to the planning commission, and it was recommended to go ahead and initiate annexation of one of these areas. And I have not yet seen the city council agenda that's coming up for next week, but I'll be curious to see what happens next. I personally don't believe that they're ready. They're jumping the gun on the annexation. There's lots of other things to consider. As Chair Connolly mentioned, it's adjacent to portions of South Oroville that were not annexed during the mass annexation of the South Oroville area back in what was it, 2019-ish. And so there are some areas that they need to consider cleaning up. The area they've identified for annexation is the industrial area that's south of town, Ophir, Lincoln area, where when you drive into town, you see all those big warehouses on the side. So they've got big and exciting plans for what will happen in that area. So I'm supportive of that overall, but obviously has to be done in the right way and with all, the considerations in place. I learned recently that the area is not pre-zoned, and so that's probably their next biggest hurdle was getting that is going to get that area zoned. So I will keep my eye on that. That is going to be consistently evolving, and I'll let you know along the way. The conversations that I have, hopefully we'll be meeting with the City of Oroville staff in the coming weeks to talk about that. So let's see, Town of Paradise, they've released a few documents supporting their general plan update. So I've looked over all those and will continue to be involved as they move along in their general plan update process. Again, on that is we will come on the heels of the general plan update with an MSR and sphere of influence update. So the town is going to need to look pretty deeply into what is a logical sphere of influence for them, which, like I've said before, right now contains all of Magalia. And so is that realistic for them to, in the next 20 or 30 years, extend their services into Magalia? So obviously a lot has changed since their last MSR was updated. Let's see.
No, don't even look at me. Don't even look at me.
You don't want multi-story
Don't look
low
at
income
me.
housing in Magalia?
He knows.
Going, you're doing well.
I know that. I mean, I know a guy rides his bicycle down here and tells us that. I hear you.
Well,
Multi-story low income will give you energy, synergy in Magalia and create jobs.
Okay, moving on. I mentioned last time that there would be a special Board of Supervisors meeting dedicated strictly to flooding in the Norchico area. So that has been
The whole
set.
county,
Yes, sorry, Northern County.
the whole county.
The whole county, not just Northern County. Oh, that's a big take. So that meeting has been scheduled for April 28th at 11 a.m. Board of Supervisors Chambers. I will attend the meeting and see in what way LAFCo can contribute. You know, we have these little CSAs sort of scattered throughout the county that collect some small funds that are supposed to go to these drainage issues, but it's potentially a much larger issue than these CSAs can handle. So I'll continue to update you on that. Let's see, nothing new on the Valley's Edge. Nothing new on Town of Paradise Sewer Project. Cal LAFCO. The reason why we're a little bit ahead of schedule today is that Crystal and I and Scott Brown will be attending the Cal LAFCO staff workshop May 5th through 8th in Pismo Beach. I'm not creating a session this time, but I am facilitating a session, and so that'll be the extent of my involvement in this year's staff workshop. So I'll report back when we return on how that went. And then just for legislation, the Housing Crisis Act of 2019 bill that Gallagher is pursuing, AB 2676. I'll continue to monitor that and give you updates as that works its way through the process. So that's all I have for that update.
Any questions or comments by anyone? Any public comment? No, close that. Any administration?
Any
Closed
direction from
session?
you? What's that? No closed session today.
Yeah, we're adjourned. See you back here Thursday, June 4th, 2026.
Yes, so no May meeting. No May meeting, skip straight to June.
You don't want to see us? They don't want to see us.
No, I think I want to go out and tour Magalia.
Turn your mic off.
Hey, it's the only guy.
In the middle one.